say Moses. Now, real quick, how many of you have heard of Moses before? Raise your hand. How many heard of the Ten Commandments, the Red Sea, all of that cool stuff? So we're going to hear about those stories. That all involves Moses. It's a big character in the Bible, and we thought it would be important to really learn some of what Moses did and see how God interacts with him, how God uses him. All this stuff. What is my one rule? I have one rule. You can shout it out. Awesome. So if you're new here, I have one rule. It's no talking about anybody up here is talking, because here's why. Because I don't want your neighbor, whom you are talking to be distracted and not hear what God might have for them today. So we have a big crowd. Look around. It's awesome, huh? Lots of you. This is a really cool group. So I really need every one of you helping me out, making sure you can obey that one rule for me. No talking while anyone else is up here talking. We want you to learn today. We're going to fly through this today. Let's check out our verse. This is a cool verse. Now, you got to know this verse as we go through this whole series because it all makes sense. But repeat after me. Everybody say Joshua 1:9. This is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Now, like I said, I got it verse is huge in the points. Now, to memorize this, if you think of it really easy, is this. God is giving us a command. This is my command. It's easy. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. Okay? How many can remember that? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. So, be this, don't be that. So, you're going to be strong and courageous, and you're not going to be afraid or discouraged. And this is why. Because the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So, that's important to know in our story about Moses, because as we go with Moses, we're going to find out he's going to have to remember this a lot, that God's with him wherever he goes, right? How many of you have ever made a plan, and you knew that plan was going to be awesome, but when you went to do it, it just fell apart. Everything went wrong, right? Yeah. Today we're talking about our big idea today is God has a plan for me. Say it with me. God has a plan for me, right? I've had a plan like that when I was in 8th grade. I had the perfect plan. Awesome, thank you. Perfect plan. I was at the high school I was going to be going to, right? I had a class there, and me and my friends were walking to class a little bit late, and one of my friends saw a smoke detector up in the ceiling, right? And as all boys do, for some reason we have this thing inside of our brains that if there's something that's like a little bit above normal level, you have to jump up and touch it. Yeah. Right, boys? Yeah. Like if we walk, we're like, oh, that's awesome. And then every other boy's like, ah! Right? I don't know why we do it. We just do. So there was a smoke detector, and I was like, I gotta touch it, right? So when my one friend's like, oh, you gotta see who can touch it, right? So he runs, and he was like this tall. So he didn't have very good verbs. He's like, right, it didn't go anywhere. Second friend runs, he's like, ah! Right, he misses by that much. And then it was my turn. Perfect plan. I knew. I knew what I needed to do, right? My school had the little brown and white tiles. I knew I needed to hit that tile. I needed to hit it full speed. I needed to get the perfect angle, the perfect trajectory, and shot! And touch the smoke detector, right? Sound like a good plan? It was a good plan! I get up, and I just felt it. You ever feel like you just know something's gonna go right? You just knew it. I knew it in my heart. And I run. I come up to the smoke detector, put my foot right on the right tile, perfect trajectory. I look like Michael Jordan floating through the air. I was going to nail that smoke detector. And not only did I touch the smoke detector, I pulled it. I hit the thing so hard. I hit it so hard that the little tile, the ceiling tile goes boom, like that. It was awesome. I landed, and I was like, my friend's like, whoa, that was awesome. I was like, yeah, that was amazing. Yeah! And it just at that moment. The fire alarm goes off in the whole school. The entire school, the 4 hours here, everyone's coming out of class, they gotta leave, and I'm like, that's bad. Because like if you pull one of those little fire, well, I didn't pull one of those, I touched the smoke detector, but it thought my hand was smoke because I covered the whole, I jumped so high, I covered the whole thing. My plan went bad. Very bad, really fast. So I did what any normal kid would do. I ran for my life. I went and hid in the room. I was discovered by a teacher and another boy that pointed me out. He ratted me out. I got in trouble, because see, if you do that at school, you can get kicked out of school. And I was like, right? The teacher's like, what'd you say? So my good plan went bad, right? Sometimes our plans we have, they look good, they look great, and they go bad. And they just don't work out. Now, I'm going to read you a verse. This verse is God's plan for your life. And that sounds like a good plan. Very good. So we're going to hear a story about Moses. God has a plan for Moses. God is going to use Moses to take the children of Israel, the nation of Israel, out of Egypt. They're slaves. The whole nation. Take them out of slavery, out of the country, and give them a new land. Pretty big job, pretty big task. God wants to use Moses to do it. He has a perfect plan. But there's going to come some things that are in the way of his plan. Is that going to stop God? Nope. We're going to see. Watch this. It even starts when Moses is just a baby. There's already some problems. So watch this, and let's talk about it. Here we go. To the point of doing anything, who's in control right now? Where do they live? Where do the Israelites live? This whole nation. We're going to answer the question really quick. They lived in Egypt, that's right. And the Pharaoh that's there, he's basically the most powerful person in the world. Remember our story about Joseph? He was under the Pharaoh, right? That was 400 years, I believe, before this. So back, really, you hear about Joseph, and the next people you hear first about is Moses. Okay? So they're in Israel, they grow, right? It says there they grow in number and strength. They're a huge nation now. So Pharaoh doesn't like them, so what does he have them do? He makes them what? What does Pharaoh have them do? Pharaoh turns them into what? Slaves, that's right, very good. He turns them into slaves, he makes them serve the Egyptians. They don't like that, obviously. God's going to raise Moses up to help free them, right? But the problem is this. Before Moses even gets to do anything, he's a baby. Pharaoh is like, we can't have this. They cannot grow in strength. Remember, they're getting too powerful. And he makes a rule about babies. Does anybody remember what the rule was? Yeah. He said, he puts out a law to get rid of all baby boys. If there's a baby boy that's born, to get rid of it. It's horrible. So Moses has a problem because he's a baby, right? How many think that's a little bit of a problem in God's plan right now, yeah? He's going to use Moses, God, they're killing baby boys. Man, that's pretty bad. Pretty bad. But let me ask you a question. You think anything's going to stop God's plan? Come on, you think anything's going to stop God's plan? No way. It's God. Now, something can stop my plans. In fact, God has stopped my plans many times, right? Fire alarm has stopped my plans, right? Nothing can stop God's plan. So this is so cool how God does his thing. What was our big idea? God has a plan for? Yeah. God has a plan for you. Just like he has a plan for Moses, he has a plan for you in your life. So God is going to provide for Moses in a really cool way, okay? Moses is a baby. Can Moses even help himself right now? No. Can Moses go, God, I'll help you out of the plan. Don't worry, I got this. Does it help if Moses worries about it? He's a baby, right? God's plan is going to move on no matter what. He's got an awesome plan. Moses is a baby. They're getting rid of babies, but Moses' mom raises him until he's a little too old, right, to hide anymore, and so she puts him in a basket. And who picks him up? This is crazy. Who picks him up? Yeah, the princess, Pharaoh's daughter! And she's gonna raise him! How awesome is that? Here's Pharaoh, he's like, get rid of all of them, all the boys. And then God's like, okay. And Moses is gonna be picked up by Pharaoh's daughter. He's gonna be raised in Pharaoh's palace. He's gonna be taught by all of Pharaoh's people. He's gonna be taught by the best in the land. This is like the most powerful nation in the world. The most powerful leader, here's Moses, who should have been killed, and God's going to put him in Pharaoh's palace, raised up by Pharaoh's people. How many know God's plans never fail, right? God has a plan for you. Remember, we read his plan this earlier. How many think God's plan for you? Will it ever fail? No way. What's our big idea? God has a plan for? Come on, God has a plan for? So I want you to think about this real quick. In your life, things can go bad, right? You can have bad days. Things can go wrong. Maybe with your family. Maybe at school. Who knows? But even when those bad things happen, it never stops God's plan. His plan is still to keep moving. He's got awesome things for you. He wants to use you. So let's pray. Let's ask God to help us to remember his plan for us. That he loves us. He's got his awesome plan for us. So let's pray. Jesus, we love you. Thank you so much for your word. Thank you for the story of Moses. God, would you help us to remember, God, that you have a plan for us, that you want to use us. And just like Moses, God, there's nothing that can stop your plan. Would you help us to remember that when we come up against hard times, whenever things go wrong, remember, you have a plan for us. Your plans never. We love you, Jesus, and I'll stand for you. Everybody said,